Welcome into the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com for Monday, December 26th at Santa Anita. Tom Leach here along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Mutuals and Simulcasting. A couple of great ones on the post-Christmas card there at Santa Anita for the boys and the girls going 7 furlongs. But, Jim, we will start in the 6th race, which is on that downhill turf course, 6.5 furlongs, the Grade 3 San Simeon. And a big field here, 14. Who did you land on?
It's always easy to handicap that course. It's not a problem at all. They're talking about having 35,000 people out there for the day after Christmas, so it's pretty cool. This is a race I was forced to go deep in the pick four, and my pick here. And normally in a turf sprint, you don't like the outside hole, but or one of the outside post positions. But in this case, if you've ever watched a 6.5 furlong race at Santa Anita, it actually is an advantage to be somewhere toward the outside. It seems like the inside horses get bounced around a lot when they come down the hill and cross on the dirt. So I actually liked Holy Loot to 12. Was 22-1 the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, and actually ran pretty well. Only got beat 3.5 lengths for that race by obviously on this course. So Holy Loot to 12, I think fits well in here. Dropping down from a Grade 1 to a Grade 3, won the Eddie D on this course back in September with a 102 buyer. So I think Holy Loot is my favorite here, but I don't think that by any stretch of imagination that he's a lock. And so I've played below him in a trifecta, like Richard's Boy, the 8, 2 for 6 of the distance. Espinosa is always good on these downhill races. Has been second in 2 stakes in the fall. Hobbit's Hero, the 2, loves Santa Anita, 7 for 12 there, and Bayerano fits the horse very well. He Will, the 9, jumps up in class a lot, but got a 103 buyer in the last. And then Acceptance, the 6, beat Richard's Boy the last time, two back, and then Ohio, the 5, had trouble in the last, and always want to include Brees Block in any turf races. So I would go deep here, but my pick here is the 12, Holy Loot, and would use Richard's Boy, the 8, Hobbit's Hero, the 2, and He Will, the 9, below it.
I ended up going to He Will. I like the improving 4-year-old angle. I think there's still some upside there. And this horse is 1-2 of 3 on that downhill course, so that's good. And 103 buyer, and now cutting back in distance. Just a lot for me to like on this horse for Hollendorfer. I'm not going to go as deep as I probably should in a pick 4, though, because I couldn't find any place to single anywhere else. But I'm going to take He Will, use him in exactas, actually in a 4-horse exacta box for the race with Holy Loot, the one you mentioned, also Stormy Liberal, the 3, and Betty's Bambino, the 11. So we've covered probably close to half the field with ones we've mentioned. Tells you, gives you an idea of how wide open this might be. 7th race is the Grade 1 La Brea for 3-year-old fillies at 7 furlongs. Lightstream and Finley's Lucky Charm both look really good. I'm going to try to beat them with Constellation. Now, this horse looks a little light in the buyer department, but that last race was like an 83 off a long layoff, and that just looks like a prep for this. I'm guessing that they were pointing for this spot, just wanted to get an easy race in her. She won, same jockey sticks, 4 really good works since that effort that was off a long layoff. So I expect a big move forward for Constellation, and I think she can hit the board first or second, so I'm going to use her in exacta boxes with the 2 more likely winners, Lightstream and Finley's Lucky Charm, and use all 3 in the pick 4. How about you?
I thought this race was so loaded with speed that I really like Lightstream here. I think she's working really well. There's an article that Lynch really likes the way she's coming into the race. It's off a layoff from October 22nd, not a huge layoff, but she was off a layoff of 4 months there. She won the Raven Run off that layoff in an impressive performance at Keeneland. The buyers came up a little bit light with a 92, but she ran a 103 in her maiden win back in the spring. So Lightstream's getting a lot better, and this will be our last race as a 3-year-old. And I just think it sets up so well because your horse Constellation has early speed. Chow Chom has early speed and beat Enola Gray, the huge favorite last time out, who has early speed. Nobody wants to come from out of it, even Lunar Empress on the inside. Lightstream's the proven closer in here, and I just think that the flow of the race favors her so much. And at 7 furlongs, she's 3 for 4. I like Lightstream, and I will be singling her in the pick 4. This is my key race for the pick 4 sequence.
Eighth race, the Grade 1 Malibu. It's essentially the same race, but for the boys. 3-year-olds going 7 furlongs. I think there's 3 Bafferts in here. Got Mind Your Biscuits, who ran well in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Who'd you land on?
Yeah, this one wasn't quite as easy, but I think Mind Your Biscuits is going to be a deserving favorite here. He lost the Breeders' Cup Sprint by only a length and a quarter, and actually is going to be moved up to second. I don't know if you saw this week, but Masochistic is going to be disqualified for a trace of drugs in his system. So Mind Your Biscuits was actually hindered a little bit by Masochistic. So actually going to run second for purse money in that Grade 1. The Malibu obviously is not as tough as the Breeders' Cup Sprint. 7 furlongs seems to not bother him, even though he has a 1 at that distance, and he's getting better at the right time. Mind Your Biscuits would be my top pick. Sharp Azteca, the 7, is one that may get overlooked for Navarro here coming from Laurel. But if you go back, he was one of the best things that happened to me on Derby Day, but won the Pat Day Mile at 13-1, wire to wire that day over Vamo. And Sharp Azteca can throw a clinker in here, really a curveball to some people who don't know this horse. So I think Sharp Azteca is a price in here. Ken Blessing's a 4 is a lightly raced Baffert. You always take a look at those. More Spirit has class, but has been off since Kentucky Derby, the 8 horse. Those are the horses I would use in the pick 4, but I'm going to key Mind Your Biscuits, the 2, and Sharp Azteca, the 7, on top in exactas and tries.
I am going in on 10 Blessings. You mentioned lightly raced, coming out of one other than allowance, but it was a 106 buyer. I think the winner came back to win the next time. 2 bullet workouts following. And if it was anybody other than Baffert or maybe a handful of other trainers, I wouldn't even take a second look at this horse. But that kind of number with Baffert, he picks his spots really well when a horse is doing well. And so I'm going to try 10 Blessings to upset him in the Malibu. I think More Spirit could be very dangerous, too. His horse that kept really classy company and now coming off a layoff is cutting back in distance. And as well, I could see either one of those 2 winning, but kind of like I think one of those 2 will win it. But I'm going to also include Mind Your Biscuits on the pick 4 ticket. But I'm all Baffert in here mainly. 9th race is the Grade 2 Mathis Brothers Mile for 3-year-olds at a mile on the turf. And I'm going to take a shot with Conquest Enforcer. This one comes in the Motto Barn. He's 20% with newcomers, gets Pratt to ride, and really good workouts. And this horse kept some good company for Mark Casse up in Canada. Not that you could expect to improve a horse a lot off Casse, but sometimes just different surroundings, different barns, different feed pattern, whatever, it might work. And I'm going to take Conquest Enforcer to move up a few notches. And I think this is a kind of a wide-open race anyway. I'm going to use, for the play in the race, a 4-horse exacta box of Conquest Enforcer, Blackjack Cat, the 2, Frank Conversation, the 8, and Blackout, the 9. How about you?
Got 3 of those 4 in my 4 picks, but Frank Conversation would be my top one, simply because of the company that he's been keeping on the West Coast. And Frank Conversation comes out of the Grade 1 Hollywood Derby and only got beat by 2 lengths to a couple of Chad Brown horses who aren't in here. So Brown shipped to the West Coast and went 1-2, and Frank Conversation ran very well that day. I would take him on top, but Blackjack Cat, the 2, might get a better trip this time than he got in Hollywood Derby. He was inside on the lead and may take him a long way here because there's not that much speed in the race. And Mike Smith fits this horse very well. Conquest Enforcer is my 3rd pick. I like the fact that last workout was 59 flat for 5 furlongs, and 4 furlongs would be kind of slow. 5 furlongs, 59 flat, first of 120 at the distance on December 19th at Santa Anita. So obviously likes the track, probably likes D'Amato, I think coming into the race very well. And the long shot in here, Isotherm, the 6, was steadied in the Hollywood Derby, and it picks up Kent DeSormo. Just think that this horse might have a shot at a price. George Weaver's a surprising trainer on the turf sometimes, and Velasquez doesn't stay around to ride, but DeSormo is a nice substitute on Santa Anita's course. So Frank Conversation, the 8, over Blackjack Cat, the 2, Conquest Enforcer, the 4, and Isotherm, the 6.
Pick 4 tickets. I'm going to start with 4 horses in the first leg, the 9, 3, 11, 12. Going to use the 3 fillies I mentioned in the La Brea. And the Malibu, I'm going to use the 2 Baffords, 10 Blessings, and More Spirit, and also Mind Your Biscuits. And then I'm going to use Conquest Enforcer, Blackjack Cat, and Frank Conversation in the last leg. So I'm 4 by 3 by 3 by 3. Just didn't feel comfortable enough to narrow it down anywhere. There are I'd love to go deeper in that first leg, but to keep the ticket manageable, I'm going to play it that way. How about you?
Yeah, the first leg, I've got 6 horses in here, and I've got a rule that I break occasionally. I broke it last week on one that cost me a lot of money. But if you don't feel good about a pick 4 ticket and you use half the horses, you may as well try to spend a little more money and go all. But I've got 6 in here, but you've got 2 horses that I don't have. So that means between the 2 of us, we've got 8. So when you're looking at your pick 4 ticket, if you can make a stand somewhere else, this is the one to spread, I think. But I've got 6 horses, the 2 Hobbits Hero, the 5 Ohio, which is not one I mentioned, but I think might sneak in there at a price. We're only 3 lengths behind Holy Loot last time out with Van Dyke up. So 2, 5, 6 Acceptance, the 8 Richard's Boy, the 9, which was your pick, He Will, and the 12 Holy Loot, which is my top pick. So I've got 2, 5, 6, 8, 9, 12. I will take a stand and single Light Stream the 2 in the 7th race. I will go 2, 4, 7, 8 in the Mathis the Mathis Brothers' last race. So the Malibu, that's Mind Your Biscuits, 10 Blessings, Sharp As Tekka, and More Spirit. And then the Mathis Brothers, the 9th race, I would go 2, 4, 6, 8 there with Frank Conversation, Blackjack Cat, Conquest Enforcer, and Isotherm. So the way I structured my ticket, it's $48. If you want to go all in the first leg, it's around 100. So that might be a great investment for you.
Nice card on the day after Christmas at Santa Anita. Best of luck if you're playing through KeenelandSelect.com or at the simulcast facilities around the state. If you're a simulcast player in Lexington, just know that the simulcast facility at the Red Mile is going to be closed on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, but there will be some wagering opportunities available, at least on Christmas Eve, 1 or 2 through Keeneland Select. For Jim Goodman, I'm Tom Leach. That's the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.